Opinions expressed are those of the program host and guest and not WSTU. WSTU does not endorse any products mentioned. Any reproduction or retransmission of this broadcast is strictly prohibited without written consent of WSTU.
The Treasure Coast longest-running local talk radio show is on the air. The Treasure Coast Forum, brought to you by... Get interested, get educated, get involved, and give us a call with your opinions at 220-9788. And here's your host of the Treasure Coast Forum.
Welcome back to WSTU, the Treasure Coast Forum. I am Cassidy Fowler, your new host, and I'm joined here today with...
Grace Granum, a junior at South Fork High School.
And Ethan May, also a junior at South Fork High School.
All right. Where's Martin County?
No representation today.
Yeah, what's going on? Yeah. All right. So we got to get those guys
Yeah,
involved,
we'll get them
right?
next time. Yep.
All right. Call them up. Say, hey, what's going on? Right?
Yep.
Because everybody's opinions, everybody's thoughts are valued. And, this is a conversation forum. So, the broader the conversation, the better off we are.
Yep.
So we wanted to talk about Roe versus Wade, right?
Yep, that's very relevant, especially today,
Well,
because of the recent things happening in Alabama regarding the new abortion law.
Yeah, there's a couple new laws. One of them, I forget which state. I think it's the fetal heartbeat at 8 weeks.
Yep, in Georgia.
Yeah, and okay,
I'm okay with that. Yeah.
Yeah, and then, but there's another one. Was it Alabama? That
Yep,
says
in
that,
Alabama, regarding any trimester, no abortion is allowed, even if it's a case of rape or incest, which I think is
right. So can an individual go from Alabama to another state like
Yeah, that's
Florida?
what I was thinking about.
yeah.
I'm pretty sure they can travel to other states for abortions still. So
Mhm.
Yeah,
And they won't be penalized if they come back. I think.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
So
So it's just, so we were talking a little bit off air, but and I firmly believe that the Constitution is deliberately silent on this topic, and I think that's largely because the framers of the Constitution felt that it was a states' rights issue.
Mhm.
This sort of thing, or things like this, would be state rights issues. So, pretty much an agreement of that. Huh?
Yeah.
So if you were to, the thinking is it's going to bubble up to the Supreme Court. So now the conversation is, how is that going to work out? So what are your thoughts?
well, isn't there a conservative leaning Supreme Court now? Now
Yeah.
that
Yes.
justice
Yes,
just
but-
yes, maybe, but the some of the justices like Roberts and one of the newer ones from even the Trump appointments.
Yeah, I don't agree with it, right?
No, well, they have not sided with the conservative majority
Mhm.
in. So I wouldn't necessarily look at a Supreme Court as being stacked
Either way, yeah.
either way on this or any issue. But I think that the jurists really look at these things from a non-political perspective. I really want to believe that.
seems kind of hard not to look
Yeah.
at it from a
Right.
not to look at it from a non-political or from a political standpoint.
Yeah, well, politically, there's a mantra. The left is, anything goes.
Mhm.
It seems like, and they're pretty loose with the rules. The conservative mindset's a little more less flexible.
Mhm.
Let's-
I understand
guess.
where both sides are coming from.
Yeah,
Yeah, with pro-choice and pro-life.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, I'm thinking like one of the arguments for pro-life is that if these regulations are put in for abortion, then that might lead to a sort of slippery slope where it over time people could increase those regulations because a precedent was set that it was allowed for people to be or for abortions to take place in any case.
Mhm. Yeah, and this was argued during the Roe versus Wade.
yeah, back in 1973.
Yes, it was argued that if Roe versus Wade was affirmed in the Supreme Court,
Mhm.
then it would be a slippery slope, and you would have almost restrictions on abortions. And guess what? In the state of New York, there's virtually no restrictions. I mean, you can have an abortion all the way up to 9 months.
Yeah, that's pushing it a little bit in my opinion, but
yeah, I mean, yeah.
But I still believe that people should have the right to an abortion. Maybe not, definitely not the third trimester, maybe not the second, depending on the state would probably decide that. But in the first trimester, at least, to have the ability to create your own choice, because every single circumstance differs.
Right.
Saying right now with this recent law, not allowing people with cases of rape or incest to not have an abortion, I think that's a little bit absurd because
how often I haven't seen the stats, but I am curious how much what percentage that is.
Yeah.
Of the say out of 100 abortions, is it
how many of them
it-
are actual rape
is it
and incest cases?
0.125%?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, or is it 25%? I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what that number is, but we don't hear about it. We don't know.
Yeah.
So I don't know, so, I mean, I think, but for my frame of thought,
Mm-hmm.
I would want to know more about what those real numbers are, where the hard numbers on the ground are.
Yeah.
And then you can make some sort of educated, but it's
It's a tough question.
tough call.
Yeah.
Tough call.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Back to that fetal heartbeat bill.
Yeah.
So what do you, does anyone know like the average amount of time that passes before someone discovers that they're pregnant?
I think it's like 6 weeks or something, 6 to 8 weeks. I'm pretty sure
6 to 8 weeks.
is when it shows up. But like most of the time, like when women like find out they're pregnant, there's already a heartbeat there.
Mhm.
So there's a very big conflict with that because it's like, okay, well, you're pregnant, but there's also a heartbeat with almost like a majority of these pregnancies already. So
Mhm.
what can you even get? I don't know if you can even get an abortion after which is kind of unfair
Yeah,
to
a
women, I
little-
think,
Mm-hmm.
because like how are they able, like if they want an abortion, how are they able to get it when they don't even know?
Yeah,
they're
they don't
pregnant?
even know. That is a problem. But
Right. And so, and again, we were talking about this a little bit prior to the show. The government's job is to speak for
the rights of the people and the safety of the people, and
Right.
for the unborn, they can't speak for themselves.
correct.
Mm-hmm.
And so this is the back and forth, the push, and for the unborn should have a voice. Somebody,
Mhm. Somebody has to
Mhm.
protect them. Yes.
right. So.
Mhm.
So yeah, and it's I think it'll be decided on a state by state basis,
Mm-hmm.
and my guess is the Supreme Court will affirm that, and we're seeing that already with the medical marijuana,
Yep.
and so many other things. There's some states,
Controversial issues. Yep.
yeah, I mean some states allow euthanasia. Was it Washington State, I believe, Oregon, one of those states out
Mhm.
there. It's doctor assisted type of medical suicide, I guess.
Mhm.
Other states that's a no-go. So
Oh yeah, there was that one controversial thing we want to talk about. It didn't involve the government, but it involved the college board.
Oh yes.
Yeah, it was the what was it? The adversity score.
Yes. Well,
For an
now
SAT?
Oh, yeah.
the SAT will assign a new score that factors in where you live and how much your parents make into and send that to colleges. So, and this new score, it'll be called the adversity score. The students won't be able to know about it. Only the colleges can know about it. So you don't actually know your own score.
Mhm.
And I think this is to take into it's supposed to take into account your background and how it may or may not have affected your scores, but
Mhm.
it does seem a little unfair that you yourself can't know it, because it is it
More
is a
personal
reporting
information.
yeah, it's a score about you, and this is your life ahead of you, and not being able to know something that could make or break your decision into a college is a little scary.
And
Do you know
or just one thing real quick. I think couldn't you figure out your adversity score anyway because you know where you live and you
Mhm.
could
And
probably
you know your parents' income.
Yeah, and you know
You
how
could
much your
have an
parents make.
estimated guess, I think.
Yeah. So I don't know really what the point is of keeping that from the kids. Is it shielding them from their
Yeah,
adversity.
what's the actual purpose?
So they don't have to see a psychologist.
Ooh,
Yeah.
ooh. Do we know
See a
how many
counselor.
states have? I mean, not states, but how often this has been like implemented? Because I know that
Well,
there was
Is it like
a
a new
trial
thing?
group.
Yeah, there was a trial group there's a beta test last year at 50 colleges, and then the College Board plans to expand this to 150 colleges and universities this fall. So I think it's like based on schools and not necessarily like not high schools. It's like for colleges.
Mhm.
So
I wonder if that those schools that were taken as the trial and now the new 150 having this
Mhm.
are where exactly they stand on the difficulty of entrance.
Yeah, and
mm,
I don't know if I agree with this because it seems like a bit of an oversimplification of how someone's life is affected by how someone's academics are affected by where they live or how much their parents make. Like I feel like those two factors, it's too little to really give like sort of an accurate representation of the student.
Because within different districts and different schools, there are people going to schools getting the same education at different socioeconomic levels.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like that isn't really taken into account.
Yeah,
oh, very true. Very
Yeah.
true.
and but we can't really do anything about it because it's the College Board who's
Yep.
doing it, not the government.
Oh, the College Board.
So
Very good. All right. So what else is on the hit parade to chat about? Big Bang Theory is now officially off the air. The last show aired on
Aw.
Thursday last week.
I heard about that. That's kind of sad because I know that like Big Bang Theory has a very big following.
Yeah, very big.
how long has that been running?
12 years.
Whoa.
Yeah.
I did not know that one.
12 seasons. Yeah.
Do we want to talk about that immigration thing?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I think that's a good idea.
All right, so currently, let me just
Going through your notes.
going through my notes.
Okay.
So right now, Trump is planning to reform border security and legal immigration. Like he said this during a speech, saying that he wants to prioritize those immigrants who are educated and will boost our economy rather than families, which are currently
Mhm.
prioritized.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Yeah, and we were talking about that earlier. How bringing in the best and the brightest, would that be taking away jobs from those already within the U.S.
Right.
who would be getting those jobs otherwise?
So when you finish your high school career at South Fork,
Mm-hmm.
likely you'll be going on to a college,
Yes.
right?
Mhm.
So if this measure gets passed,
The competition.
by the time you get out of college, there are going to be other students
Mhm.
from other countries vying perhaps for the same high level jobs that you are searching for,
Mhm.
right? The best and the
Yeah.
brightest.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting.
It's a little bit scary.
Yeah.
World's getting scarier.
Yeah. Competition.
Competition.
So you
I
have to
know.
work a little harder in school, right?
Yep.
I don't know. I think there would probably be like
No
a
more
good-
toga parties.
I think there would probably be a good bit of pushback on this. Like, how many do we know? Like, how many people are in support of it? Like, it's being voted in Congress.
No,
No,
this,
It was just brought
it's
up by Trump.
right.
Oh,
Yeah,
it was
it's just
brought
an
up by
idea.
him?
Yeah,
it's
no,
just a
Okay.
floated proposal. It
Yep.
still has not been written in a bill form.
Mhm.
Okay.
But I'm sure it will be in the
Oh.
coming months, definitely.
Yes. Very interesting.
And I wonder how much, if now regarding to immigration, how some view immigrants as taking our jobs, even though, well, not even though, but if this is going to bring up bigger news, will be more relevant within our society because now immigrants will be taking the more high paying jobs. I just want to, it would be very interesting to see how this turns out and how we,
the dynamics.
the
yeah.
dynamics between the two. Yeah, how we prioritize the educated versus the uneducated.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Yeah. I mean, when this country first started, there wasn't really a priority to immigration because there weren't
Yeah.
like as many people. But how should we decide what priorities we put on immigration for our country? Like, to how should it benefit our country, basically?
Hmm.
So currently, right now, we've got people that are showing up at the rate of a few thousand every day.
Mhm.
And
Is that legally or
No.
illegally? Both?
well, yeah, mostly illegal. They're
Mhm.
just to show up. And there's commercials being broadcast in Spanish in Honduras and
Mhm.
Guatemala and like that. And it says, "Oh, come to the United States and it's no problem. You can get yourself a job."
Mhm.
And that's what these commercials declare.
Mhm.
So these people gather up the kids and they just hike all the way up. This one lady was interviewed this morning and she's, it took her 15 days to get to the border. And she got here with her son. Now her and her son will be guests at a holding facility for 20 days because that's the current law.
Mhm.
And then they'll release her. And her goal is to go to New York and she'll do that. And then she'll just disappear into the system.
Mhm.
Mm.
Right now, I know recently at one of those holding facilities, a young Honduras boy, I believe that he was Guatemalan. He was the fourth death
Right.
from December.
Right.
Like,
Yeah, but he was probably already sick
He was
because he
probably
had
already sick,
pneumonia.
yeah. Mhm.
And, that's just the problem. And you don't hear about this in the news. So many people that show up that are already sick
mhm,
because of the travel,
mhm.
And so, I mean, they didn't die as a result of
Being
their
held
care.
there. No, yeah.
They died as a result of
Their sickness
it's a
before.
dangerous trip to try to make,
Mhm.
especially if you don't know where you're going and what you're doing.
Yeah.
And you're not skilled in any way other than you just know you want to make the trek.
Mhm.
You
And
know?
some people aren't even leaving for purely economic reasons. Some are trying to seek asylum but are being denied,
Right.
saying that their asylum is frivolous.
Mhm.
WST.
Yeah. I mean, it's just like when you hear about like these deaths in like these like holding facilities, the news kind of portrays it as being like something that, the government officials, like US officials, are like just because like their care their cause. And I think that's like this can kind of like lead into a bigger problem of how like the news in general can be very misleading
Mhm.
with what it presents, because like a lot of these like news organizations can be politically biased and they don't present the whole story, because like I think a lot of people like miss that fact that like this journey is so long and so taxing on someone that
Mhm.
like when they hear about these deaths they think, oh my goodness, they're being like so poorly mistreated, but that's not the whole story.
Yeah, I just think that media should cover both sides of the story, and we're
Yeah.
missing that.
Mhm.
We have a caller on the line, has a question for our esteemed panel. Go ahead.
Hi. First of all, I want to thank you, young people, for being so knowledgeable about our political system and stepping up to the plate and really giving your view about it. I love to listen to you every week.
Oh,
Thank
thank
My
you.
you.
question is that we had breaking news today that now Broward and Palm Beach counties, President Trump is going to send all these illegal aliens, immigrants, to our counties, and about 1,000 a month for the next couple months.
Wow.
How do you
Really?
feel
Whoa, I
about
did
that?
not hear about that.
Well, honestly, I don't know how we can sustain that many
Those are-
people.
Yeah, are those sanctuary counties, or is that the reason why they're going there? Are they declared
They touched on that a little bit. They said that when they come in through the border,
Yeah.
they do a little interview and ask them where they're going, why are they going in the United States, and where.
Right.
And they're thinking that these people put Florida down, and so
Ah,
Broward and Palm Beach County are going to get the brunt of it.
okay. All right. Well, interesting. Well,
Yes. So
okay.
thank you for listening, and
Thank-
I'll listen and I'll tune off.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for your call. All right. Bye-bye. All right. Wow.
That's very interesting.
Breaking
I
news.
didn't know about
Breaking
that.
news. Thank you
Yeah.
for that.
Yeah. So, wow.
I don't know how we're going to be able to sustain. Those two counties are going to
Right.
be able to sustain.
But that's kind of an interesting thing because you see, California is a sanctuary state, and there are some other sanctuary. There's Chicago's a sanctuary city, and there's several sanctuary cities around the country. So they're saying that we want to open up our hearts and our minds, and and welcome the all the folks that want to be here.
Mhm.
And so Trump's saying, okay, here's a fun thing we can do. All these people are coming. We have no place for them.
Mm-hmm.
We're just going to bring them to the places that say that they want them.
So these people would they be documented
No.
at all?
Not necessarily.
That adds a
Now
bit of
they're required. Okay, so after you do your 20-day stint,
Mm-hmm.
and then they release you with a court date, and then you're supposed to show up for that court date.
Mm-hmm.
Most people never do. That's-
Can't track them
that's
down
the rub.
after. That's the problem.
That's the
Yeah.
rub. And and that's why you hear in the news so many of the political, not only the pundits, but the lawmakers will say, we need to reform our immigration system. And that's
Definitely.
exactly what they're talking about when they're talking about reform. They need to change that dynamic because they know it's basically a catch and release.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's really just, it's not doing anybody any good.
I wonder if they're going to specific homes or if they're just being let out into the county.
Yeah, I don't
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
Because if we had,
They could just go anywhere.
They could just go anywhere. They could go out of the county.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, exactly. Yeah, it's Greyhound.
Yeah.
And then you're somewhere else.
yeah. Would the government be paying them, be paying to move these people there,
They,
or
no,
like?
they would get maybe a small stipend, and then for food and water and stuff for a few days,
And then they're on their own. Yeah.
Mhm.
I mean, I wonder what was the level of vetting that people on say Ellis Island got
Oh,
when
Oh,
they
interesting.
immigrated.
You want to know. The interesting thing is when they immigrated through Ellis Island, because all four of my grandparents did,
Mm-hmm.
all right? And so when you do that, they had this enormous staircase that you had to walk up
Mm-hmm.
and for your interview. If you could not make the walk up, likely you had TB, and then they would send
Wow,
you
send
away.
you
Oh,
back,
wow.
Yeah. So, WST.
That's very interesting. That no weird kind of test, but
All right, John from Stewart is on the line. We've got 2 minutes before we have to go to break, John. So go ahead.
Okay, I'm an environmentalist, and
I've heard rumors. Yes.
And what causes pollution? People. How can I
Do they really?
slow down the population of the United States? Stop illegal immigration. So for 40 years, I belonged to FAIR, Federation for Immigration Reform Bill.
Okay.
Organization. It's a great organization. There's another one, Numbers USA.
Yeah, I've
They're
heard of
really
that.
great.
Mhm.
So anyway,
It's a George
do you
Soros
notice that
organization.
Trump didn't say nothing about E-Verify in his speech today?
I'm going to lean on you, John. I did not hear his speech today.
Well, he didn't, and he's never sent E-Verify because he uses illegal aliens at his mansion down there in West Palm Beach.
Okay, all right. All
Right.
right. All
And
right.
the first high rise in New
One-
York, he
one
built,
minute, John.
He built it with a bunch of illegal alien Polish workers.
Okay. All right.
And
Well, all right.
he's such a fraud.
Well,
he's
very.
such a fraud.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, all right. Well, but he didn't mention E-Verify. So that's the news.
No,
item.
because he'll get busted
Oh.
for employing illegal aliens.
All
Because
right.
he's guilty of it. Because he's a hypocrite and he's a liar, and you know it.
We're gonna.
And
we'll
you should
watch.
be ashamed of yourself that you voted for him, and you're going to vote for him again, right, Frank?
I am so ashamed of myself. Words cannot describe how I,
I
feel.
asked you a question, Frank. You're going to vote for him again, aren't you?
If he's still a candidate, you never know. Yeah, we'll see
Well-
how the election plays out. I
How
was
about
I don't know.
that
I was pulling
Mormon?
for Beto O'Rourke. I saw him getting I saw him in the dentist chair. I saw him in the barber's chair the other day. That was exciting. He explained how important it is to cut the hair inside your ears. So that was very informative. So I appreciate
I'm
that.
for anybody but Trump.
Hygienic information. That was delightful. Well,
Well,
John, thank you. We have to go to break
okay.
now. Thanks, buddy.
Okay, thank you.
All
Bye.
right. Bye-bye.
Opinions expressed.
All right. And we'll be right back, so stick with us.
Welcome back to WSTU, the Treasure Coast Forum.
All right, very good. All right. So before we came back, we were, historically what we do is all the other guest panelists get to bring us back from
Yeah,
commercials.
They
so
were a little bit reluctant.
they
I'm sorry.
were, but maybe, yeah.
Maybe
it's-
next time. Next
see,
time.
So anytime you're confused, you can just look at our little prompts that we have here in the studio. Yeah.
It's all on you guys
It's not
next
part of
time.
it. Yeah.
Come on. Maybe
But-
you can take us out.
Yeah. There you go. There you go. Okay. So we touched on a couple of interesting topics to talk about this segment.
Mhm.
Okay. What do you want to talk? You want to talk about fentanyl or vaping? They're both
Ooh.
high level conversations. Which one do you want to
We could probably
take on first?
What do you think?
Let's do vaping first. I think
Vaping first, yeah.
that's pretty relevant.
That's more relevant
local,
within
local,
us. Yeah.
like,
All right.
very local relevancy.
All right.
But yeah, vaping is like a huge problem that I feel like even though like officials and like adults and stuff know about it, I feel like they do not know the full extent of it at
Yeah,
all.
we truly don't know the dangers and the havoc that it can wreak on the
Yeah.
body yet.
Like it's just like a generation ago when smoking was considered the in thing, that nobody really knew what was inside those,
Mhm.
but people kept doing it
Yeah,
anyway.
now they know, and now they're suffering the consequences.
Yeah.
Yes. And it's like it hasn't been out long enough. It's only been out like a couple of years. Like
Mhm.
it's just picked up popularity, and there's like we cannot like determine the long-term effects yet. And it's only like until it's too late when we like know about this that so many
Mhm.
people will like, have some dire consequences because of it.
hmm And there's even been like injuries just from the vape pens because they have the lithium ion batteries.
Oh, them
yeah.
they're-
exploding?
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh,
Yeah, they've been like
that's
exploding in people's pockets,
Yeah.
like in their
And
face,
oh my goodness.
like while they're using it. And so I think one person's like even died from it.
That
Yeah, I
is
think I heard
insane.
about that too. It's not good.
And I understand some of these vaping pens are actually ink pens too, so you can bring them to school as
Really?
an ink pen and use
Wow.
it as an ink pen. So it's like hiding in plain sight.
I haven't
Wow.
heard of
Oh, yeah.
those.
Well, like one of the really popular models of like a vape pen, it's called a Juul. That's like really popular with high schoolers, and it looks like you can mistake it as a flash drive.
Yeah,
or something
USB.
Like
Everyone's
that.
like, "Mom, no, it's my USB." But
And it's
it is
so
not
it's
a
so small. It's like
USB.
the size like
it's
your,
yeah,
Yeah.
your finger.
it's just a little bit longer than your finger, so it's very easily hideable.
Yeah,
I guess.
and it's a big problem in school because unless you ban kids from going to the bathroom or going in a hallway, then you can't really get rid of the vaping problem because it's just that easy to hide.
I've seen kids do it in class. Just
I
like-
heard,
yeah.
I heard
Yeah.
over at Martin County, they took all the mirrors out of the bathrooms.
Wow.
Really?
Because they were hiding their vaping tools.
Wow. And
Behind the
that is
mirrors.
insane.
Why that's not happened at Southwark yet.
No,
but,
not at Southwark. We need a county kid. Oh.
yeah, I know.
Ah.
It's just that like I feel as though because like the smoking, everyone knows like I would say like a good majority of teenagers like would be very hesitant to smoke a cigarette or something like that
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
because they've like
It's
seen
been
like
so associated with like lung cancer and all
Yeah.
the side effects
it's
of
like their
tobacco.
parents might have done it and like there might like they could have had like aunts, uncles, relatives, stuff like that. Like they know the consequences. They've seen it because it's affected a lot of people. But
Right.
now it's like they're so blind to see that it's like the same thing happening over again.
Thing. Yep.
It's something we don't know about. Like it's something very addictive and could potentially like have some very bad consequences that
Mhm.
I feel as though teenagers are just kind of brushing off because you can't see it then and there.
Yeah, and I feel like the tobacco free, just the campaign on media, social media, the ads that we see aren't really doing an effective job because they don't truly.
Yeah, you just scroll past.
Yeah, you just scroll past them. You just like click skip ad when you see something
Mhm.
that.
It's really like the mindsets that need to be changed
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
like it doesn't matter like how many
Ads you
bills
see
or laws or
yeah.
ads you see that are like saying that this is bad. Like I know like in the Florida Congress they're trying to pass a bill to raise the age to 21 for like buying these vaping products, but we all know as high schoolers that like a lot of these kids that have them now, they'll still be able to access them
Yeah,
because
they'll
it's
still
like
be-
they want it,
Yeah.
so they'll
Mhm.
they'll find a way
And
to
there's
get
people with older friends, older siblings that could easily just buy it for them, even though it's legal.
Yeah.
But how is it going to be enforced?
So how do I want to phrase the question? So if it's they raise the usage age to 21,
Mhm.
there should be no reason why you want to make it more convenient for people. So I mean, that's my
Yeah.
thinking.
Yeah.
Yeah, well,
Yeah, I mean, I think they should still
the
pass
government-
it.
I think that's a good law to
Yeah.
start off with, but
It's just like
it's
maybe
the
not
mindsets
enough.
that need to
Yeah.
change.
Right.
The
People-
mindsets need to change.
There are still minors right now that can find a way to access
Right. Just like
vaping and such.
just like they access cigarettes.
Yep.
Mhm.
middle schoolers, like 11,
Yeah, there
12,
are middle
13-year-olds are doing this. And like,
Yeah, and
we were in high school only a couple of years ago, and I would never be able to imagine like seeing so many people like in the bathrooms and at school like doing something like that.
Mhm.
Like, it's just kind of mind blowing how it's picked up a lot of popularity in the last couple of years. Like,
yeah,
we were
and
literally
we don't
in
even know what effect this has like on say like the development of someone who's so
Mm,
young.
yeah,
to
you're
be
right.
using
It's
these
Because your
things.
brains are still developing.
Yep.
Yeah.
We're still developing.
So till you're what age 25?
I think
think so.
25.
Yeah,
so
something
when the
like
body
that,
is fully
yeah.
developed. Yep.
So whoa.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, and the tobacco companies, they also said, well, they're even like planning sort of like a doubt to it. They're like saying that vaping is safer than smoking because it doesn't contain tar or like any
Yeah.
of those that's caused
just
from
nicotine.
the burning of the tobacco leaf,
Right.
and it only contains the nicotine. But nicotine is still a carcinogen.
Yep.
yeah.
Yeah.
It still causes cancer.
Not really
Yeah, it's
getting
like-
rid of.
Yeah. So not a good thing.
No.
Mhm.
Wow.
And then we also have the fentanyl crisis, or like the opioid crisis, I guess I should
And
say.
this really goes back to the Obama administration, you
Yes.
said,
Mhm.
right?
Yes, that like they had a lack of action on their part because as far as I'm concerned, like I didn't really like start to hear about it too much
Yeah.
until like the last couple of years, maybe like as early as 2016, but that's when Obama was leaving. So like there wasn't very much action, at least that I like saw in the media or like even like on a local, state, or
But
national
does-
scale.
Does government action like directly correlate with media coverage? Like,
That is
would
a
it-
good point, but I
Well,
mean,
I think so. Because the government has the unique ability to drive the bus, to drive the conversation, and they can do that through legislative and through executive measures, and certainly they can create the conversation,
Mhm.
and then the legislative body can pass laws to support whatever measures is collectively as a society we agree on that these are thoughts and measures that we want to approach. But I think that is government's job. I mean, my philosophy is the less government, the better. However, there are some good value assets that government can bring to the table, such as awareness and the broader conversation that we can have as a society.
Now, what kind of major legislation has been passed for the opioid crisis, like during this administration? Do we know of any?
I
There
honestly don't
actually
know.
has been. There's been some conversations with the ERs, and they're doing different things, and doctors and prescriptions, and the drug companies are being held more to account
Mhm.
for a lot of drugs and opiates, drugs that should have never. So what happened was a lot of the drug manufacturers were telling the doctors that certain medications were appropriate and for certain for people that had certain conditions.
Mhm.
And they come to find out later that the addictive natures of some of these drugs that the pharmaceutical companies said weren't as addictive as they turned out to really be have created more of a problem than if they had used maybe other things or just avoided using those medications altogether.
Yeah, and
So
you start playing a bit of a dangerous game when you're making money off of selling this medication. So you have an incentive to sell more.
right.
So these companies are trying to
they're
sell more and
addictive,
more.
Yep,
Yeah,
they're addictive.
Oof.
yeah.
Yeah. So, okay. Well, it's that mystical, magical time. Once again, one of us will bring us back after this timeout. All right.
Welcome back to WSTU, the Treasure Coast Forum.
Nice
Very
job,
good.
Grace. Nice.
Hey!
Yay.
All right.
That happened after
was-
an intense game of rock, paper, scissors, shoot. Let me just say.
Rock, paper, scissors, lizard,
Oh.
Spock. Yes. Very good. Excellent. All right. So what else do we got to talk about? We've got there was a pro-choice supporter that took a pro-life sign, and then the police got involved. So that was exciting.
Ooh.
Here's a little quote from our Secretary of State Pompeo. He made a mention to Secretary Kerry, who's been going around the country, or going about the globe, actually. Really, he doesn't represent the United States anymore. So he
Mhm.
really shouldn't be
Mhm.
speaking for the
Ooh.
United States,
Oh, no.
right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
So Pompeo had a message for him. He said, you're not Secretary of State anymore. So if you want to revert to weakness on Iran, try winning an election.
Ooh.
That was harsh.
A little harsh.
Yeah, but probably appropriate. Fusion GPS Nellie Orr is deleted emails from their DOJ about Russia. What else did she delete? So that's an interesting question that's posited here on the internet.
Well, I was thinking about the pro-life, or was it the pro-choice protester who took the pro-life sign
Yes.
and got in trouble for it? What do you guys think about the freedom of speech in general? Do you think it should be limited in any way? And if so, how would you legislate that?
Definitely limit the violence. Not saying that that is
Mhm.
an extremely violent act, but that is definitely infringing on somebody else's.
Right.
Yeah.
So if there's a pro-life rally
Mhm.
and you are not pro-life,
And you go in spite. Yep.
right, and that's fine. You can post your signs that are that espouse your point of view,
Mm-hmm.
but your rights end where my rights begin,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
And everybody's, this person who stole that sign infringed on the rights of the people that were legally there doing their protests, right?
Yeah.
So that's why the police got involved. So maybe that was a good political science lesson for that individual.
Yeah. But do you think there should be any limits to what someone could say?
Well, you can't yell fire in the theater.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can't know.
I mean, personally, I don't think there should be any limit to what someone should say unless it's some sort of call to action or
Mhm.
something like that. Like
Mhm.
you can't yell fire in a movie theater or
Mhm.
something like that. But I think that anyone should be able to say whatever they want to say, because at that point, when you're restricting people's speech, that also, what we mentioned earlier, that slippery slope of legislation, that could create wiggle room for more legislation to be created to
Mhm.
further restrict that.
Mhm.
And it doesn't give voice to the minority.
Mhm. I feel like there should be a bit of a restriction on voicing, maybe, I don't know how to phrase it, but preventing somebody from ruining somebody's reputation with false information.
Yeah.
But I don't know how that could actually be.
Isn't there some sort of law against that?
I'm sorry, I was busy playing with the computer.
It was like slander or libel
Yeah.
or something like
Yes.
that.
Mhm.
You're talking about speech, right?
Yes.
Mhm.
Mhm.
So yeah, I mean, people are entitled to their your point of view, but
Mhm.
when you suggest something that's going to create damage to another person,
Yeah.
Yeah, you
That's-
can't lie
Yeah.
about somebody.
you cannot lie about it, or you cannot tell people, "Hey, this is where this person lives. Go, hurt them
Yeah.
or their family," and that sort of thing. That's where I think free speech has got, an issue. But yeah, I mean, you can. I fully enjoy the conversations with people I disagree with.
Mhm.
That's
Mhm.
fine. I don't
Yeah.
have any problem. I don't want to hear the same thing just parroted back to me that
Yeah.
my belief system. I think that's how we grow and learn as
Mhm.
individuals. You want to have a diversity of opinion,
Mhm.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting that the United States of America is the only one who has really total free speech. in the
Really?
world.
Mhm.
Like there's no specifically outlined. You can say whatever you want as long as it's not causing damage to
Right.
another person.
Right.
Mhm.
That's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
Another good reason why, and you understand why people wait in line to get here.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
definitely.
Right.
For that freedom that we
Right.
provide.
Right.
Mhm.
And so that's, Mayor de Blasio, he announced, have you seen this? It's just too rich. So he's the mayor of New York,
Mhm.
de Blasio. A few days ago, he made an announcement in front of Trump Tower, but it was raining. So they went indoors
Mhm.
to do the press conference
Mhm.
to announce that he was running for president. But he had to go inside of the Trump Tower. And so the same escalator that the president came down when he made his announcement, he
Yep.
was in front of that.
Ooh.
And people were up and down this escalator holding signs pro-Trump. And and he is not a well-liked mayor in New
Mhm.
York. And it's just it was priceless. So then he released a video saying why he wants to run in New York, and it's just so rich. So it's just funny because he has a very, very rigorous lifestyle. So he gets up early, he goes to the gym, and he works out. Gets to the office by 10 o'clock in the morning, and then he takes a nap at his desk with the door open and newspapers in his face. He does that for kind of chill out.
Very
because he's
interesting.
had a real tough morning working out.
Ooh.
Yeah. So
Well, relating to
this is a man who wants to run the country.
Yep.
relating to the reelection, I actually had an idea. What do you think about publicly funded campaigns rather than there being private,
Yeah, fundraisers.
private
Mhm.
fundraisers? Because that would be giving an equal advantage to everyone who
Everyone, yeah.
wants to
Mhm.
run for office.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's a legitimate conversation
Mhm.
that needs to be had, and it comes up every election cycle, and I think it's good. I mean, there were candidates that changed the way the monies were collected,
Mhm.
and the original suggestion was it was going to take a lot of the dark money out of campaigns, and campaign finance reform turned out to be more of a boondoggle. More money is, it's just, I don't know.
Yeah, it
It's-
seems like it's just turned into a competition of
Right.
who can get the most money.
Does it
for the
really have that
campaign.
much influence, campaign?
And the
funding?
interest, we're the only country in the world. I got to keep an eye on the clock, but we're the only country in the world that has such a long, tedious
Election process?
election process.
Yeah.
It is just, it's terrible. In Great Britain, 90 days.
Wow.
That's it. 90 days.
Jeez.
This is our platform. This is what we, boom, boom, boom.
Mhm.
Vote up or down. Done.
Yeah, we just want to be
Moving
really
on.
sure.
Yeah, we want to be really sure.
Really,
Right.
really sure.
But I mean, we're talking, so the election's not this year,
Not this year, no, but we're already talking about it.
right?
Yeah, we're gonna be able to vote in that election.
Yeah,
We're gonna be 18 by
Nice.
then.
Nice.
All
right.
Did you register to vote yet?
I need to do that. I
Yeah.
got the form from Mr. Zimmerman last year, but
I see. Yeah, I pre-registered with my driver's license, but
yeah, that make it very convenient for you.
I think it's kind of ironic how like we spend so much time on the campaign, but yet like the way that we collect votes are voting machines.
Hmm.
I even had like when I took my SAT, I took the essay.
Mm.
The source essay was about how bad American voting machines are because there's some voting machines that they're electronic, but they've been out since like 20 years ago, and like they don't have secure
Well,
systems.
Yeah. So Martin County is secure.
Mhm.
It is a closed loop, and it's not computer connected to anywhere.
Mhm.
So that's secure.
Yeah.
There were only 2 counties in Florida that were hacked. The governor announced that yesterday.
Wow.
Really?
Only 2 counties that were hacked, and it was a fishing expedition. There was nothing happened. No votes were changed. Nothing
Mhm.
happened, but they were just kind of trying to poking around to see what they can see,
hmm
and there wasn't. But a lot of that is they will send an email to somebody within state or local government, and the email has a Trojan virus in it,
hmm
and that's how they do that.
Yeah. Wasn't there something about new voting machines being created, a new system?
Yeah,
I can't remember the source for it.
I think ultimately you're going to be voting from your couch with your remote.
Yeah, just
What-
one button for each
I
one.
wonder if
Yeah.
that would get more people to vote
Yeah,
because
probably.
we need that.
I think so. I think
Yeah.
the numbers are abysmal. You know, you look
Mhm.
at countries that were under really very restricted regimes, and they got their freedom and they had a chance to vote, and the turnout was incredible. I mean,
Mhm.
you know, even with the notion that they could get shot, you know, because they would go to vote, and we're talking like an 80% turnout.
Wow.
It's just phenomenal,
If only we had that.
right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I feel like we kind of at this point we've been so free for so long.
Laissez-faire,
Yeah.
I think. Yes.
Yeah.
We're just
We're taking it for granted a little bit.
I think that we are, yeah. I think that we need to tell the upcoming generations, including ourselves,
Mhm.
to go out and vote because it really makes an impact on our
Right.
lives.
And every vote counts. I
Every
mean,
vote
boy.
counts. Yeah, we
Yeah.
were talking
You know
about that
that.
a
Oh,
couple
yeah.
times ago, coming down
There was
to
a county that was won by like 32 votes or something like that.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah. I mean, it's really, and all politics is local.
Mhm.
You know, we
Yeah.
talk about the national stuff because that's funny. That's, you know, interesting stuff. The talking heads talk about that.
Mhm.
But remember this, all politics is local. You know, that's where you can really affect change.
Mhm.
Yeah.
All right. And we'll be back again here next week on Treasure Coast Forum. Thank you for listening.